Hit back at the GOP presidential candidate at a news conference earlier.
The particular comments of Mr. Huckabee are, I think, part of just a general pattern that we've seen that would be considered ridiculous if it weren't so sad. When you get rhetoric like this, maybe it gets attention, and maybe this is just an effort to push Mr. Trump out of the headlines. But it's not the kind of leadership that is needed for America right now.
Governor Huckabee is here now to respond in his first TV interview being mentioned by the president. Welcome to the Five, Governor. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to see all you guys again, and great to be with you today.
Well, aren't you the big newsmaker of the day?
I didn't intend to be, but it looks like, when the president and Hillary Clinton all are calling you out personally, must be a good day.
And do you stand by your comments? What
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. The last time the world did not take seriously threats that someone was going to kill massive amounts of Jews, we ended up seeing 6 million Jews murdered. We didn't take it seriously. The Iranian government, we're not talking about a blogger here, we're talking about the Iranian government, has repeatedly said that it's going to be easier to take the Jews out because they're all concentrated in Israel. We won't have to go all over the world and hunt them. They used the word Holocaust. They used that word in talking about what they wanted to do. They refused in this negotiation to recognize Israel's right to exist. They refused to tone down their rhetoric and continue to say that the Holocaust did not exist and that they're going to wipe Israel off the face of the map. When people who are in a government position continue to say they're going to kill you, I think somebody ought to wake up and take that seriously.
All right. So, Dana, you have a little bit of a follow-up for the...
Well, I did because so when President Obama, he's on his Africa trip, he hears about this. So it's always one of my rules is anytime a president goes overseas, something happens back home that you end up having to respond to, and that becomes the news of the day. And he has said repeatedly that anybody who is against the deal that he is making with Iran, that they are warmongers, they just want war, which is unfair and unserious. But I do think that from a rhetoric standpoint, when you bring up the Holocaust, everybody loses. And one of the things I think you'll see is that...
Well, let me ask you this, though.
Well, can I finish this one thing? Which is I think that for Democrats who are on the fence of possibly refusing to go along with Obama on this deal, that then all of a sudden they get pushed into a position of defending the president, and you even saw today of West Virginia say he's probably going to support the deal.
Well, if I get credit for them supporting the deal, then I'm a much bigger deal than I think people thought I was. Look, here's what I would want to remind people. If we don't take seriously the threats of Iran, then God help us all. Because the last time, it's Neville Chamberlain all over again. We're going to just trust that everyone's going to do the right thing. 3 times I've been to Auschwitz. When I talked about the oven door, I have stood at that oven door. I know exactly what it looks like. 1.1 million people killed. For 6,000 years, Jews have been chased and hunted and killed all over this earth. And when someone in a government says, we're going to kill them, I think, by gosh, we better take that seriously. And for the president to act like that the only 2 options are either have a war or take his deal that got nothing. We didn't get the hostages out. We didn't get a concession that they would stop this rhetoric about wanting to wipe Israel off, or they didn't stop chanting death to America. We got nothing. I read the whole thing, and I read it, and I thought, you're kidding. This is it? This is the best deal? Why can't we criticize it?
But, Governor, the point is, you went a step. I love you. We have tremendous respect and affection for you. You would be a great president. You have the temperance. You have the experience. You are a good person, and I know working shoulder to shoulder with you all those years we shared on weekends here at Fox. But as a Jew, and I have to tell you, with people who work in the Anti-Defamation League and relatives on both sides, the Levies and the Riveras and the Friedmans, it was inappropriate. There are some places you cannot go. You cannot compare the slaughter of 6 million Jews to anything other than maybe the slaughter of the Armenians or something else in history. You cannot compare it to a negotiation over a deal like this, Governor. There are some things you have offended many, many people in the Jewish community, not only the organized Jewish community, but the rank and file. It is inappropriate to compare the Holocaust to anything, and if you start using that as a sloppy rhetorical phrase, you're going to get in trouble. And
why do we have the Holocaust Museum in Washington? Why do we have Yad Vashem in Jerusalem that I visited dozens and dozens of times?
But
why do we have it?
Because they are sacred.
Why do we have
They're
it?
not to be
No. Answer my question, though, Geraldo. Why do we have
remember.
it? To remember.
To
Why
never
do we want to
forget.
remember? To never forget. Why? So that we never repeat it again. If we're on the verge of repeating it again with a nation that is threatening to do that very thing, how do we not bring up that language?
We don't even use that when there's a slaying in a school and multiple victims. We still don't go there because this was the systematic attempt by an industrialized nation to wipe out a race of people. That is different. That is unique. You may not go there. And I'm begging you to apologize and to retract.
I will not apologize and I will not recant because the word Holocaust was invoked by the Iranian government. They used that very word.
Are we going to go there then? When these
and no one loves Israel more.
Are going off
and by the way, I've had more support from the Jewish community than I have had.
The ADL condemned your remarks today.
Well, they've condemned a lot of things people say, but the Democrat Jewish community has been universal in condemning it. For them, it's a political issue. For me, it is not. It's a humanitarian issue. And when you have a government saying they're going to kill every Jew on the planet Earth, and they use the term Holocaust, I'm not sure why we have memorials about the Holocaust if we're not going to remember why we had it, what happened to 6 million Jews, how they were systematically murdered. And the fact is, Geraldo, that's exactly what the Iranians have said for, I mean, as long as the Mullahs have been in power, for 36 years, they have continually said, we're going to kill every Jew. Now, at what point, when a gun is pointed to your head, do you not take that seriously?
Eric, can you even jump? Okay, you go ahead.
I was just pointing out, Governor, I've known you a long time, and I agree with Geraldo. You're a good man. You would be a great president. I respect all your work. My problem with the comment is not the comment itself. Listen, I've married, my wife is Jewish. I don't think she has a problem with it either. My problem is that it took the focus away from what President Obama said, that 99% of the world is in agreement with this deal, which I fully disagree with, number one. And number two, who cares about the rest of the world? I care about what Americans think. And right now, I think there's 50% of Americans who hate this deal right now. And can we just focus on that for a little bit? Can you answer President Obama's comment that 99% of the world is in agreement with the deal?
Well, here's the question. If it's such a great deal, how come none of the people in that neighborhood were for it? Why weren't the Egyptians and the Jordanians up until the UN vote, and they took the obligatory role, but the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Emirates, they're all against it. They're all horrified by the deal. Why is it, if it's such a great deal, that the people living closest, who have the most to lose the soonest, why is it that they were adamantly opposed to it? Why would Israel be opposed to it? It looks like they'd be all about a deal that was going to be safer and make it so that the Iranians would calm down. Maybe it's because they, too, have seen this movie before, and they know that it does not end well. I think it's a naive deal, and it didn't get anything. You should have had some preconditions. The preconditions should have been 3 things, at least. 4 hostages on American who are taken should have been released. They should have been on the next plane home. Yeah. You should have had a concession that no more anti-death to America talk and no more talk about wiping Jews off the face of the earth and destroying Israel.
Yeah, okay, so what you're talking about and you want to focus on is the merits of the deal or the lack thereof, because you didn't do the deal with Iran. The President of the United States did, so that's on him. Tom, you have a comment, and then we're going to move.
Well, I mean, I think I'm surprised everyone's so shocked by the statement. I think it's a completely sober statement to make, because when they announced the deal, they were saying death to America, death to Israel, so it makes